What if I told you that the most successful people throughout history had one thing in common? They thought about death every single day. What if 2 minutes of contemplating mortality could eliminate procrastination, increase courage, and make you feel more alive than you've ever felt? The Stoics discovered that remembering death isn't morbid. It's the ultimate life hack. Stay with me, because this ancient practice is about to revolutionize how you live. Welcome back to Daily Stoic Insights. This is episode 3 of our transformative series, How to Think Like a Stoic. If you're getting value from this series, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building something special here, a community of people who want to live with ancient wisdom and modern purpose. Welcome back, modern Stoics. I hope you've been practicing negative visualization from episode 2. If you missed it, go back and watch. These episodes build on each other like a philosophical foundation. Today we're diving into perhaps the most powerful and misunderstood Stoic practice, Memento Mori, literally, remember you must die. Now, before you click away thinking this is going to be depressing, let me tell you what happened when I started practicing this. I used to procrastinate constantly, avoid difficult conversations, and waste time on things that didn't matter. Then I discovered Memento Mori, and everything changed. When you truly internalize that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. When you remember that every day could be your last, you start living like it matters. Steve Jobs, who wasn't a Stoic but understood this principle, said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Seneca wrote about it constantly. And today, you're going to learn how to use the awareness of death to become more alive than ever. Here's what I'm going to give you today: Marcus Aurelius's exact 2-minute morning death meditation, plus the 3 levels of Memento Mori practice that you can adapt to your comfort level. And I'll show you how this practice eliminates fear, increases courage, and helps you focus on what truly matters. This isn't about being morbid, it's about being awake. Understanding Memento Mori. Let me start with a story that will change how you think about death and life. Picture ancient Rome at its height. Roman generals returning from victorious campaigns would parade through the streets in triumph, crowds cheering, feeling like gods among men. But here's what's fascinating. Behind each general stood a slave whose only job was to whisper in his ear, "Memento Mori, remember you must die." This wasn't cruelty. This was wisdom. In their moment of greatest triumph, they were reminded of their mortality to keep them humble and focused on what truly mattered. The Stoics took this practice and made it a daily discipline, not to be depressing, but to be awakening. Why death awareness creates better living. Here's the paradox that most people miss. The more you think about death, the more alive you become. Here's why. Urgency creates action. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop procrastinating. You stop waiting for the right moment because you realize there might not be one. Perspective eliminates trivial concerns. When you remember that you're going to die, you stop worrying about what people think of your outfit. You stop getting angry about traffic jams. You focus on what actually matters. Courage increases. What's the worst that can happen? You die? Well, that's going to happen anyway. This realization is incredibly liberating. It frees you to take risks, speak truth, and live authentically. Gratitude intensifies. Every day becomes a gift. When you remember, it's not guaranteed. Every conversation becomes precious when you realize it might be your last with that person. The 3 levels of Memento Mori practice. Level 1, General Mortality Awareness. This is the gentlest introduction. Simply acknowledge that life is temporary, for everyone, including you. Spend 30 seconds each morning remembering that this day is not guaranteed, that everyone you love will eventually die, and that your time here is limited. Level 2, Personal Death Contemplation. This involves imagining your own death more specifically. Not the process, which can create anxiety, but the reality. What would you regret not doing? What would you wish you had said? How would you want to be remembered? Level 3, Daily Death Meditation. This is the full Stoic practice. Spend 2 to 5 minutes each day contemplating your mortality as a daily reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could die today. Let this determine what you do and say and think." Marcus Aurelius's morning death meditation. Here's what the most powerful man in the ancient world did every morning. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "I may not live to see the evening." When evening comes, tell yourself, "I may not live to see the morning." Do not let this thought disturb you, but let focus your mind on what is truly important. He would then ask himself 3 questions. If this were my last day, how would I spend it? What am I avoiding that I should address? What truly matters? And what is just noise? The practical applications. For procrastination. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop putting off important things. That difficult conversation? Have it today. That project you've been avoiding? Start it now. That dream you've been postponing? Begin taking steps immediately. For relationships. Memento Mori transforms how you interact with people. You become more patient because you remember that your time with them is limited. You become more loving because you realize that every interaction could be your last. For career and goals. When you truly internalize your mortality, you stop pursuing things that don't align with your values. You stop climbing ladders leaning against the wrong walls. You focus on work that matters, goals that fulfill you, and contributions that will outlast you. For daily irritations, traffic jams, long lines, rude people. These become insignificant when viewed through the lens of mortality. You have limited time on this earth. Do you really want to spend it being angry about things that won't matter in a week? Common fears and how to address them. This will make me depressed, actually. Studies show that people who regularly contemplate mortality report higher life satisfaction. When you accept death as natural and inevitable, you stop fighting reality and start embracing life. I'll become reckless. The opposite happens. When you truly value your limited time, you become more careful with how you spend it. You take better care of your health, your relationships, and your responsibilities. It's too scary to think about. Start small. Begin with general awareness that life is temporary. The fear usually comes from avoiding the topic, not from facing it directly. Historical examples of Memento Mori in action. Seneca's final test when Emperor Nero ordered Seneca to commit suicide. Seneca faced it with such calm that his friends were amazed. He had been preparing for this moment through daily Memento Mori practice. He said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Marcus Aurelius, in battle leading armies in dangerous campaigns, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Death smiles at us but all a man can do is smile back." His daily death meditation prepared him to face danger with courage and lead with wisdom. Modern applications. Steve Jobs' Stanford speech, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart." Warren Buffett's time perspective. Buffett often talks about time as the most valuable resource because it's the only one you can't get more of. This awareness drives his focus on what truly matters. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this is heavy stuff. How do I start without overwhelming myself? Great question. I'm about to give you a gentle 7-day progression that eases you into this practice. Plus, I promised you the scientific research on why death awareness actually makes people happier and more successful. Keep watching. This is where it gets really practical. The science behind death awareness. Terror management theory psychologists have found that when people are reminded of death in a healthy way, not dramatically, they become more focused on their values, more generous, and more motivated to create meaningful legacies. Mortality salience research studies show that people who regularly contemplate mortality make better long-term decisions, are more generous and compassionate, focus more on intrinsic rather than extrinsic goals, report higher life satisfaction, show increased courage in pursuing meaningful goals. The paradox of death anxiety research by Dr. Sheldon Solomon shows that people who avoid thinking about death actually have higher death anxiety. Those who face it directly develop what psychologists call death acceptance, a peaceful relationship with mortality that enhances life satisfaction. Gentle introduction. The 7-day progression. Day 1. Temporal awareness. Simply acknowledge that today will end. Tonight, you'll go to sleep, and this day will be gone forever. Notice how this makes you more present. Day 2. Lifespan perspective. Think about your life as a story with a beginning, middle, and end. Where are you in your story? What chapters do you want to write? Day 3. Legacy contemplation. Ask yourself, how do I want to be remembered? What impact do I want to have? What would I want people to say about how I lived? Day 4. Regret prevention. Imagine yourself at the end of your life looking back. What would you regret not doing? What would you regret not saying? What would you regret not experiencing? Day 5. Daily death awareness. Spend 1 minute acknowledging that today could be your last. Not dwelling on it, just accepting it as a possibility. How does this change your priorities? Day 6. Relationship mortality. Remember that everyone you love will die, and you will die. How does this change how you want to interact with them today? Day 7. Full practice. Spend 2 to 3 minutes in Marcus Aurelius's morning death meditation. Ask his 3 questions and let them guide your day. Advanced practices for experienced practitioners. The Stoic evening review with mortality. Each night, review your day and ask, if I had died today, would I be satisfied with how I lived? What would I have regretted? How can I live better tomorrow? The deathbed visualization. Imagine yourself on your deathbed, looking back at your life. What advice would that older, wiser version of yourself give you about how to live now? The funeral meditation. Imagine your own funeral. What would you want people to say? How would you want to be remembered? What legacy would you want to leave? Then live in a way that creates that legacy. Integration with modern life. Morning routine integration. Add 30 seconds of mortality awareness to your morning routine. Before checking your phone, remember that this day is a gift and your time is limited. Decision-making filter. When facing decisions, ask, if I only had a year to live, what would I choose? This cuts through trivial concerns and focuses on what matters. Relationship enhancement. Before important interactions, briefly remember that your time with this person is limited. This makes you more present, patient, and loving. Work and career guidance. Regularly ask, if I died tomorrow, would I be proud of the work I'm doing? Am I contributing something meaningful? Am I wasting my limited time on things that don't matter? Dealing with resistance and fear. I don't want to think about death. This resistance is natural but counterproductive. Avoiding death thoughts doesn't make death go away. It just makes you less prepared for life's challenges and less appreciative of life's gifts. It makes me anxious. Start smaller and build gradually. The anxiety usually comes from sudden, intense contemplation rather than gentle, regular practice. I'm too young to think about this. Death doesn't discriminate by age. Young people die every day. The earlier you develop a healthy relationship with mortality, the more fully you'll live. The transformation timeline. Week 1. You become more aware of time's passage and value. Week 2. You start prioritizing differently and procrastinating less. Week 3. You become more present in relationships and experiences. Month 2. You develop courage to pursue meaningful goals. Month 3. You experience deeper gratitude and life satisfaction. Month 6. You develop what Stoics called preferred indifference to death. You prefer to live, but aren't terrified of dying. The ultimate freedom. Here's what the Stoics understood. When you're no longer afraid of death, you're free to truly live. You stop playing it safe. You stop avoiding difficult conversations. You stop postponing your dreams. As Seneca wrote, it is likely that some troubles will befall us, but it is not a present fact. How often has the unexpected happened? How often has the expected never come to pass? We're getting to the most powerful part now. I'm about to share Marcus Aurelius's exact words for his daily death meditation, plus a special challenge that will transform how you live. And at the end, I have an exciting preview of episode 4, where we'll explore the Stoic discipline of desire and how to want what you have instead of always wanting more. Marcus Aurelius's exact daily death meditation. Here are Marcus Aurelius's own words from his meditations, adapted for modern practice. You came from nothing and will return to nothing. What have you lost? You can commit injustice by doing nothing. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? The things I was brought into the world to do. But here's his specific death meditation. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. And his 3 daily questions. How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself. Remember that very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your 7-day Memento Mori Challenge. Day 1. Spend 30 seconds each morning acknowledging that this day is not guaranteed. Notice how it affects your priorities. Day 2. Before going to sleep, ask yourself, if I had died today, what would I regret not doing? Write down one thing and commit to doing it tomorrow. Day 3. Practice the last time meditation. Do one routine activity, drinking coffee, hugging a loved one, walking outside, as if it might be the last time. Notice the difference in your attention and appreciation. Day 4. Write your own obituary. Not morbidly, but thoughtfully. How do you want to be remembered? What legacy do you want to leave? Then identify one action you can take today to move toward that legacy. Day 5. Have a conversation with someone important to you, as if it might be your last conversation with them. Notice how this changes your presence and the quality of the interaction. Day 6. Spend 2 minutes doing Marcus Aurelius's full death meditation. Ask his 3 questions and let them guide your day. Day 7. Reflect on the week. How has death awareness changed your perspective? What have you prioritized differently? What fears have diminished? The life-changing realizations. When you consistently practice Memento Mori, several profound shifts happen. Time becomes sacred. You stop wasting time on trivial pursuits. Every moment becomes precious because you understand it's irreplaceable. Courage increases exponentially when you're no longer afraid of death. You become fearless in life. You speak your truth, pursue your dreams, and take meaningful risks. Relationships deepen. Knowing that your time with loved ones is limited makes every interaction more meaningful. You become more present, more patient, more loving. Clarity emerges. The noise of modern life fades away. You see clearly what matters and what doesn't. Your decisions become easier because your values become clearer. Peace develops paradoxically. Accepting death brings peace to life. You stop fighting the inevitable and start embracing the possible. The ultimate Stoic truth. Here's what Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all understood. Death is not the opposite of life. It's what gives life meaning. Without the awareness of mortality, we take everything for granted. With it, we appreciate everything deeply. As Seneca wrote, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The goal isn't to become obsessed with death, but to become obsessed with life, real life, meaningful life, authentic life. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. What's coming in episode 4? Next week, we're diving into the Stoic discipline of desire. How to want what you have instead of always wanting more. I'll show you the ancient practice that can cure the modern disease of constant wanting. We'll explore how the Stoics achieved contentment not by getting everything they wanted, but by wanting everything they had. It's going to transform how you think about happiness, success, and satisfaction. Before you go, I need you to do something that honors the time you've just spent learning. First, hit that like button. And here's why this matters more than usual. Every like on this video is a vote for depth over superficiality, for wisdom over distraction. You're telling the algorithm that content about living meaningfully deserves to be seen. You're helping this message reach someone who needs to remember that their time is precious. Second, I want you to comment with this phrase, "My time is limited and precious." But here's what I want you to do. As you type those words, really feel their truth. Let them sink in. Let them change how you see the rest of your day. Third, Share this video with someone who's been putting off something important, someone who's been playing it safe, or someone who needs to remember that life is short and precious. You could literally inspire them to stop procrastinating and start living. And if you haven't subscribed yet, remember, your time is limited. Don't waste it missing out on wisdom that could transform your life. This is episode 3 of 10, and each one builds on the last. You're not just subscribing to a channel. You're investing in a philosophy that has guided the greatest minds in history. Come back next week and tell me how Memento Mori changed your week. I want to hear what you stopped procrastinating on, what conversations you had, what risks you took. Your story could inspire someone else to live more fully. Remember, you're going to die. That's not a threat, it's a reminder. It's a call to stop wasting your precious, limited time and start living like it matters. Because it does. And so do you. I'll see you in episode 4. Until then, live like you're alive.